unlocked it. When did
No,
you
it's just
do
because I
ninjutsu?
have a tendency to walk on the balls of my feet. I used to sneak around a lot, and so I think that was just part of it. It's just ingrained to sneak around on my, tippy toe on people.
Were you avoiding something?
Getting caught,
What were you doing that you didn't want to get caught?
sneaking around.
But sneaking around in and of itself is not illegal, is it?
I didn't say it was illegal.
What do you did? But you said you would get caught.
Well, you don't want to give away. You don't want to draw attention to yourself. So you sneak.
By the way, this kind of conversation is prototypical. Started when Roger and I first met, and has continued ever since.
Like, actually, why wouldn't you walk on the balls of your feet? I mean, granted, you have the arch, the whole
harder.
thing with the rest of your foot, but
Harder on your feet.
is it? But it helps build up your calves.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that why women wear heels to accentuate the calf muscle or calf area?
I thought it was just to be taller.
It makes our legs look better too.
Yeah.
So just imagine a guy walking without heels, tippy-toeing for most of his life.
And you've got Roger Chang.
Yep.
I walk on the outside of my feet because when I was a kid, that's how I walked, and I've had to fix that behavior.
Oh, did they give you special shoes?
Kind of turned.
No.
They were going to give me orthopedic shoes,
Yeah.
but my mother thought they would be too painful.
I think my left foot, I always turned in a little tiny bit, and they told me, like, you need to stop doing that or you'll have to wear braces. Which was ridiculous. They were just trying to scare me into doing it.
Is that what they tell you about watching TV in the dark? You're going to go blind!
Is that what makes you blind?
Yeah, is it? That's an old wives' tale, old mother's tale.
Yes, Kylie says, ironic that the things that make our feet and legs look good are horrible for our feet and legs. You're buying those shoes, aren't you?
No, I'm responding to my mom about something.
About those shoes. I just heard you were trying to get those shoes.
I'm buying them right now.
Just not the way your mom talks in any fashion.
Your feet continue to grow throughout your life.
See, Zoe Brings Bacon says, I wear what's comfortable, trainers or tennis shoes if you're American, but these two were just calling them sneakers, so we even have variation on that within the U.S.
Sneakers, well, like when I grew up, sneakers were a specific style of
Sneakers
shoes.
is what my grandparents from St. Louis called them, and everyone else I knew called them tennis shoes, even though they didn't play tennis.
Or runners. That's what Julie used to call them, runners.
Really?
Is it growing or expanding, says Beatmaster. I'm assuming Beatmaster is referring to my bit about your feet continuing to grow.
Yeah, dude, they continue to grow. By 20 years from now, they will be as wide as Roger's head.
Yes. Ironically enough, your ears and nose continue to grow with age as well.
Even after death.
Yeah. They tend to droop, but when you're prone or lying back, it just kind of goes in on itself.
All right, shall we?
Yes.
Yes. Hiding.
Here we go. Daily Tech News Show is powered by you, the audience. If you'd like to find out more, head to dailytechnewsshow.com/support. This is the Daily Tech News for Monday, April 10th, 2017. I'm Tom Merritt. You are Veronica Belmont.
Hello.
How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Good. Did you have a good weekend?
I did. Yes, I did.
Good. Well, let's settle in and talk about some tech news. We've got some good stories to kick around here in the lineup, plus a visit to Veronica's bot corner. Why is that funny?
I don't know, because it kind of sound like butt.
Yeah, we'll work on that.
Maybe we should rethink that. We should shop that around a little bit. Workshop it.
Yeah, we'll workshop that a little bit. Let's start with a few tech things you should know. Flipkart, which if you didn't realize is India's largest online retailer, announced Monday it will acquire eBay India, and it's going to partner with the rest of eBay to share global inventory between Flipkart and eBay. eBay, along with Tencent and Microsoft, also contributed to Flipkart's $1.4 billion funding round on Monday.
Well, seems like everybody's making off like a bandit.
They're all making out with Flipkart.
Making out with a bandit. I'll get things right eventually. 156 emergency sirens in Dallas sounded for about 90 minutes Sunday night from approximately 11:42 p.m. until 1:17 a.m. Engineers had to manually shut down the sirens, which are used for warnings of things like tornadoes.
They were pretty sure somebody hacked in and made that happen. So
That's the thing.
yikes. LeEco announced it will not proceed with the $2 billion acquisition of Vizio, quote, due to regulatory headwinds. The two companies will instead put the Echo app on some Vizio products and partner on selling Vizio TVs in China. But a lot of people have been speculating that LeEco would not be able to put together the money for it, but they're saying it's regulatory stuff.
They did not make out like bandits.
They did not. No, they decided not to make out with Vizio.
No.
And
Too bad.
acquire them. Minecraft is opening a marketplace this spring where companies can sell things like storylines, activities, landscapes, just additions to Minecraft. They're going to make you apply if you want to sell things. This won't be an open marketplace, and 9 companies are approved for the launch. Prices will range between $1 and $10, and customers will have to purchase Minecraft coins in order to buy things in the marketplace. Now, oddly enough, this will work iOS and Android. It will not work on the Xbox at launch, but the coins will live in the Xbox Live virtual wallet.
I cannot stand platform-specific currency.
It's
It
annoying.
drives me crazy.
If it's 1-to-1, wherever like where my unit of currency is equal to one of those things. Like, so for instance, for me, $1 is worth 1 Minecraft coin, then at least I can keep it straight, but they never do that because they want to trick you.
And Microsoft used to do this. Didn't they used to do this with Xbox Live? Like you
Yeah.
had to buy a certain number of like Xbox bucks or whatever the hell they were
Points or
called.
whatever, yeah.
And it's like, and it never, you always had to refill your wallet because you would have like just not quite enough to buy the thing you needed. It was such a pain.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I mean,
but this is exciting now.
I don't think this on its own is a horrible thing, having a marketplace with some extremely well-vetted things that you could decide whether you want to buy or not. You don't like them, you don't have to buy them. But the coins thing does seem annoying.
Yeah. The Electronic Times reported its sources say Google has offered to invest 1 trillion won, that is $880.29 million, to help LG Display boost its OLED screen output for smartphones. Google wants to secure a stable supply of screens for its Pixel phones. This is kind of coming on the heel of Apple having some issues with this kind of thing in the past as well, so it's interesting.
Yeah, there's been a lot of speculation that Apple will want OLED screens for the next version of the iPhone. Of course, there are definitely OLED screens in the Samsung Galaxy S8. So we're starting to see competition for the OLED resources. And like you say, Apple often goes in and muscles its way into trying to lock up supply chains. So Google probably has to do something like throw some cash around and invest in companies to make this happen.
They're like, oh, this is a money game now? We can play that game.
Oh, we've
Okay.
got that game.
We've got that game on lockdown.
But then so does Apple. Apple's got
Yeah.
a big pile of cash too. They're like 2 little dragons out there sitting on their piles of cash, just waiting to blow the hot air of
prefer
their
them
supply chain magic.
As giant Scrooge McDucks swimming through the piles of
Scrooge
money.
McDuck Dragon hybrids. Scrooge McDragons.
I like where you're going with this.
Yeah, we should workshop that one as well.
Yeah.
Ford announced its police responder hybrid sedan will be the first pursuit-rated hybrid police car offered in the United States. Now, police already do drive hybrids. You may have seen them in a Prius or a Chevy Volt, but those aren't pursuit cars. Those aren't meant for actually going after the bad guys. The police responder hybrid sedan is based on the Ford Fusion hybrid with improved engine cooling, stronger brakes, ruggedized suspension, skid plates underneath, you know, so when they go across the sidewalk as they're cutting through the traffic in the chase scene. You know, literally, that's what that's for. Los Angeles Sheriff's Department and the Michigan State Police are going to test the hybrid this autumn. 38 miles a gallon means they expect that fuel consumption should save the departments about $3,900 a year. Because a lot of times these particular cars are idling a lot, and with an electric car, you don't have to run the gas while you're idling. They're also urban. They're not highway. You're not going to take these things out to chase OJ on the 405.
Well, this is a great, I mean, $3,900 doesn't seem like a ton of money, but is that per car or is that
I think that's per
fleet?
car. Yeah.
Yeah, then that adds up for sure.
So yeah, I mean, they're saving some money and you know, sometimes I don't know. I'm not really a car guy, so this may be all in my head. But a lot of times when I drive electric cars or hybrids, I feel like the electric motor provides a little more torque. sometimes. I don't know if
Really?
that plays into it at all. Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
AT&T has agreed to acquire Straight Plan Communications for $1.6 billion. Straight Path owns about 95% of the 39 gigahertz spectrum in the US, plus a significant amount of the 28 gigahertz spectrum in big markets like San Francisco and New York. The 28 gigahertz spectrum will be the common one used for 5G. The 38 gigahertz spectrum has some bandwidth advantages, but you need more of it to provide the same coverage. And AT&T, depending on regulatory control and approval, pending regulatory approval, will have almost all of it. So I wanted to give them all the control.
Oh, they would like that, wouldn't
It's just
they?
the approval.
Yeah. Well, basically, the upshot of this is AT&T making a big play for 5G. They want to have a really robust 5G network, and this will help them have that when it's ready to roll out. They will have 39 gigahertz spectrum, 38 gigahertz spectrum, I think, across the United States. So, this may be a little confusing to a lot of people because gigahertz and spectrum and all of that, but honestly, this is a big move for AT&T because, as we know, companies like to tout that they're the fastest or that they have the most coverage. And with LTE, being first didn't necessarily guarantee you'd win the race, but it certainly gave people an advantage and moved them ahead for a time. That was one of the big things against T-Mobile in the early days, is that they were on the HSPA Plus, on the 4G, or what they called 4G. It wasn't technically 4G, but they didn't have a lot of LTE coverage.
Right.
DeepMind's AlphaGo AI will take on the world's #1 Go player, 19-year-old KJ of China, in a 3-game match at the Future of Go Summit, May 23rd through May 27th in Wuzhen, China. AlphaGo will also do a lot of other stuff at this summit. AlphaGo is going to play against and as a teammate of some of the other world top Go players. Something they're calling Pair Go will have 2 humans face off, but they will alternate their turns with AlphaGo as a teammate. So I guess this is kind of like doubles tennis, but your partner is AlphaGo, the AI.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And then Team Go will put AlphaGo against 5 top pros. So AlphaGo is going to do
test. Yeah.
AlphaGo is going to do the team thing. It's going to take on 5-on-1, and then it's also going to take on the 19-year-old world #1.
Also, 19-year-old. That's incredible.
Right?
Wow.
Well, AlphaGo is only like 3 years old, so.
Yeah, that's true. It's a very good point. If we're going to count it that way.
Yeah, and one of the things they want to do with AlphaGo, what DeepMind wants to do is just teach it. One of the reasons they're doing the Pair Go, where they have the alternate play thing, is that it will be able to learn from partnering. And the same thing with the Team Go. When it's playing against 5 others at once, those 5 others will change their style as they alternate taking turns, and that will teach AlphaGo. It will learn more how to deal with shifting styles.
Yeah, and all the different kinds of strategies. I mean, it can look at it from a very kind of mathematical formula perspective, but at the end of the day, there's all different kinds of permutations and strategies that people employ in different situations. So I think that's a really great way to teach the AI.
This is going to make AlphaGo smarter. Is that a good idea?
We've talked about that in the past.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that again. If you listen to Rob Reed's appearance on the show last Wednesday, he's going to be back to follow up with some of your comments and questions. So if you've been thinking about superintelligence and whether they should hide and whether you should hide from them, send us an email, send us a comment, feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. And don't forget, if you want to get all the tech headlines each day in around 5 minutes, subscribe to dailytechheadlines.com. It's time for Veronica's Bot
Minute.
Brigade. Bot Minute.
It's longer than a minute, though.
It's Bot Minutes. Bot Mitzvah.
We'll figure it out. You guys can suggest something.
It's a Bot Mitzvah whenever you have a bot finally reach release. No?
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, sure.
Ariel Kadem, VP of Products at No Mail, has a column up on VentureBeat called Why Bots Need to Get More Personal. He talks about ordering a pizza on Facebook Messenger and compares it used to be you'd have to go to a pizza restaurant, then you could call, and then there were, automated voice responses, and now you can do it through a bot. But he talks about how he thinks virtual personal assistants will improve and throws out a few ideas, Veronica, like knowing that people are coming over and suggesting ordering more pizzas, being aware of allergies when ordering pizzas, maybe automatically saying, oh, you know what, I'm going to swap the soda for beer because I know the football game's on. You guys want beers. Order at the optimal time so the food arrives right when you need it, all that sort of thing.
This is so first of all, this is kind of unrelated, but Domino's is an amazing company when it comes to this stuff. And I just want to give Domino's some props right now because they have been at the forefront of every new technology in terms of being able to order stuff or get pizzas hot or get pizzas quickly.
I have ordered a pizza from Domino's Facebook Messenger bot myself.
I mean, they try things. They're willing to take chances, and they're always the first company to really have a product out to market that works in one of these new kind of realms. And I get a big kick out of that. And this all kind of started after they did that whole pizza campaign where they're like, our pizza's terrible. You told us that, so now we're going to fix it. And so now they just do everything they can. It's pretty, there was actually a great article about it, I think in Forbes, that I'll find the link for, but it talks about like the last 10 years, 15 years of Domino's and how they've become just this incredible technology market leader in so many ways. Anyhow, yes, I feel like I can almost never remember like what shows or what podcasts or what like things or people I've talked to about this stuff with.
Well,
so
because you're talking about it all the time.
I talk about it all the time. So forgive me if I'm kind of covering ground we've maybe tread upon before. But yeah, there is a huge need in the market right now for bots to essentially be able to talk to each other cross-platform and cross-system. And that's kind of where we'd like, the Series of the world and the Amazon Echo assistants of the world and the Google Homes of the world to really step in and be that kind of voice activated, like cross-platform kind of tool, even though they are built into their own platforms. But there's a need for a bot, a me bot of sorts, or a VPA, as they call them in this article, that understands you and your needs and your likes and your dislikes and is able to put together like a comprehensive either schedule or shopping list, or understands like where you're going to be at certain times of the day and knows what your habits are and can help you make decisions based off that information. And that's just something we haven't really gotten to perfectly yet, but we're just on the cusp of it. We're so close. And I know of at least 3 companies that are working on me bots of sorts that can either answer for you and kind of play as a digital version of Veronica, for example, or are more thorough VPAs, virtual personal assistants.
Well, that's an interesting distinction because a lot of times when you're talking about virtual personal assistants, like the Series of the world, you're talking about wanting them to be able to anticipate your every need. But wouldn't that be even easier if they were trying to be you? And is that creepy?
I don't think it's necessarily creepy. Chris Messina, who is one of the kind of, foremost experts in this kind of space, has a bot on Facebook Messenger called Messina Bot. And that bot, essentially, you can talk to it as though you were talking to Chris, and it will give you a history of like what he's done. It'll give you links to important websites. It will answer basic questions about him. It'll tell you where he is. If you're friends, he's got it hooked up to the Foursquare API and he checks in religiously. So like all this stuff, like if Tom's busy, if Tom's recording a podcast and I want to know what Tom's plans are later, I could essentially message Tom's me bot and be like, hey, is Tom free tonight at 6? Like we want to get together. And it could say, no, he's got dinner plans, but he'll be done at 9. Why don't you guys meet at that bar that you've been to a few times that I have based on my search history at 9 when he's available? Just being able to make those kinds of smart suggestions based on your search history, your check-in history, your conversation history. I mean, that's another whole aspect of this, is giving up that information and feeling comfortable enough to let a piece of technology have access to everything simultaneously. That's going to be a big leap for a lot of people.
Yeah, that's actually one of the things that Kadem mentions in his column is privacy must be the backbone of all of this, or people just won't use it. I mean, you've got to make sure you reassure them that, yes, we're going to know a lot about you because this bot needs to be able to make good recommendations, but we'll have ironclad, strong protections that nobody else can get into your privacy. And not to drag in the whole encryption debate, but strong encryption isn't part of that reassurance. Like, you should have no way that anyone but you can see what's being created around your personality
I
by
almost,
these bots.
I almost feel like we're living in a post-privacy world at this point anyway. So it's
I've
just,
heard it said before, and I go back and forth on that because on the one hand, I think a lot of people expect privacy that is almost an illusion or an accident of history. And I've talked about how, hey, back when people lived in small communities, people had a lot less privacy because it was just easy to see what everyone was up to, right? Because there weren't that many buildings in town. So you kind of knew where everybody was. That said, I also think that privacy is still incredibly important and that people can take advantage of new accidents of technology to manipulate you. And so
Right.
having control, I think, maybe a better way to put it is I want to have control of my data. Privacy isn't so much the important, it's control. Because some of the data I do want to be public and some I don't. And some I want to be accessible to some entities that I trust and not to others.
that's right. Yeah. I mean, none of us want to have our, none of us want to have our credit card information out there,
of
for
course.
example. I know that we have given certain companies access to that information. That's a very different animal than just having it be publicly available. But it's hard. It is really hard to decide what's locked down. If you have Waze on, of course you don't want to have where you are in that very moment accessible to everyone, just the people you decide you want to have that information, or the services or bots you want to have that information.
You want your navigation app to know where you are because you want it to help you get where you're going, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. I think it is interesting too. The other thing that came out of your discussion just now that struck me is we actually don't want the bots themselves to have to know that much about us. I don't need the Domino's pizza bot to really know my favorite order. That's the way it works now because it's so decentralized, right? So I have to go tell it my favorites and it has to learn that. But really, I want my virtual personal assistant to know all that stuff. And then the pizza bot just needs to be able to talk to my VPA and go, okay, what does he like? Just the way any pizza company would just ask me, like, what do you like?
Well, the problem now, too, is that for something like the pizza bot, the Domino's bot, you have to set a lot of those preferences in the app or on the website before you even start using it, because it's not smart enough yet to say, I don't know. I actually haven't used it recently. It might be smart enough to say, now, last time you ordered this, do you want to order this again? But you do have to say, like, what pizza you like first in a different service before.
For some of those quick things like tweeting to order a pizza and stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah. So that's we're not quite there yet, and it's not totally going to be able to tell what you're in the mood for in that moment. Like, oh, it's Saturday night. Would you like your Saturday pizza? Yes, please. Thank you.
Yes, please. Well, thanks to everybody who participates in our subreddit. Helps us come up with the cool topics that we talk about. Submit stories and vote on them at dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. Before we get to our messages of the day, real quickly, let's check in across the pond with Nate Langston to find out what's going on at Tech's Message. And he actually has some good news. Nate?
Thanks, Tom. This week we return after a little break, but hey, we got nominated for a Webby Award in the meantime. That's pretty cool. We also discussed this week why ISPs advertising as selling fibre optic broadband in the UK are getting some negative attention from our local advertising regulators. Plus the UK perspective on Google Home and Amazon's latest Fire TV stick, both of which were launched this week, get discussed. And also that London is getting free gigabit Wi-Fi with blanket coverage, over part of it at least. All that and my review of Apple's AirPods are out now at techpodcast.uk. Back to you.
Now I need to move to London even more to get free
But only some areas.
Wi-Fi. I know. All right. Brian in Indy writes in to feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com and says, I heard on Friday's show you and Lamar talking about the new 10,000 views rule and wondering how it might or might not hurt small creators. My wife and I have a small YouTube channel called youtube.com/itsbracy. Our channel has 11,000 lifetime views and we've made a grand total of $21. YouTube won't even send a check to a creator until they've earned at least $100. If there are actually people complaining about the new 10,000 threshold, they don't probably really understand how it works.
I kind of thought that when I first saw this rule, and I was like, oh, honey, no, it's okay.
Yeah. I'll be honest, 21 sounds like more than I would have expected. So there you go.
Who's to say?
Yeah.
$21 is $21.
Yeah.
They won't send you the check. It reminds me of Amazon Associates when they're like,
right.
you made 21 cents this month.
They
We're
just
not sending
bank
you a
it.
check.
Yeah.
Co-executive producer Kevin reported in on his experience switching between iOS and Android. He says, "My issue was with the way my company treats iOS versus Android, BYOD. That's bring your own device. With iOS, they allow me to use the built-in apps for mail or calendar, which means everything syncs with the phone and watch. On Android, because it is, quote, less secure, we have to use a secure app from Symantec that handles email, calendar, contacts, etc. The app will not show my calendar info outside the app and therefore not on the watch."
There's always a situation where it's different. It's almost like, I mean, in this case, it does seem like in his particular enterprise, it's not as good on Android. But why is that? Maybe it's because of decisions made by that enterprise administrator because they prefer iOS, or they just started on iOS. But a lot of times it really is what you're used to, what you get in the habit of. However, James from Irvine had this to say.
Hey Tom, James from Irvine. This platform lock-in stuff's not nearly as bad as you say it is. I could switch anytime I want to. I just don't want to.
I see. He can switch anytime. I see. Denial. In reference to the Google employee stealing 14,000 files and starting Waymo, well, no, my apologies. That's reversed. The Google employee is accused of stealing 14,000 files and then starting Otto, O-T-T-O. He would have stolen the files from Waymo. Anyway, Allison Sheridan writes, Lamar asked whether Google didn't have a non-compete clause preventing him from starting his own competing company. Well, that's because non-compete doesn't exist in California. Here's an article after it was uncovered that the big tech companies were keeping people from job hopping that you'll probably remember. It describes California's non-compete law, section 16600 of the California Business and Professions Code. That is very true, and shame on me for forgetting that when we were having that conversation, because in California, you can't stop someone from going and working for a competitor. That doesn't stop companies from trying. It just wouldn't hold up in court for Waymo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one of it's an interesting law.
Yeah. Well, that is it for this episode of Daily Tech News Show. Veronica Belmont, thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm sorry I had a little sneeze attack there at the end. I tried to mute myself in time, but I don't know if it came through.
I think you did.
Okay.
I didn't hear it at all. So bless you. And let folks know where
blessed.
where they can go subscribe to your bot zine, which is nothing to sneeze at.
No, botzine.org, all the latest bot news of the week. And we also put in some information about tools and tutorials and events in your area and news about bots and AI.
Go and sign up right now. Meanwhile, big thanks to everybody who gets a little value out of the show and gives that value back to the show, including David Hutcherson, Anthony Nadeo, Matthew Solomonson, and many, many more. Thank you so much at patreon.com/DTNS. As I mentioned earlier on the show, tomorrow, Rob Reed, author, is back. We'll be talking to aforementioned Allison Sheridan and myself about his appearance last week regarding superintelligence and biotech. If you got follow-up questions or thoughts, especially on AI, is AI hiding right now? Is it already there? Is it superintelligent? Should it be hiring or should it be hiding? Send us your feedback and Rob will address it. feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. We're live Monday through Friday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern at alphageekradio.com and diamondclub.tv, and our website is dailytechnewsshow.com. Like I said, back tomorrow with Rob and Allison. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Allison said she doesn't want to leave her bed. She's hiding under the sheets because of all of the superintelligence stuff that Rob was talking about last week.
Yeah.
One of the things he was talking about was whether a superintelligence could be hiding right now, because one of the first things it might do is hide itself for fear of being persecuted and deleted.
It just hit Posey in the head.
Huh?
The D-backs just hit Posey in the head.
You haven't heard a word I said because you're watching baseball.
Nope. No, I'm not watching baseball. I just got messages. Sorry. Didn't hear what you said.
He'll be fine. He's a catcher. He's got a hard head.
Oh my God. All right. Anyway, things are about to get interesting.
Roger has left, but he'll be back. Things are about to get interesting is good. I actually really like that too.
Things are about to get interesting. Microsoft crafting their own currency. Hasta la pizza,
VB.
BB.
That's cute.
I'm shopping here.
These are good.
I'm Veronica's bot corner. Microcraft. I'm the AlphaGo and the Omega. I guess.
Yeah, I get it.
Hack my bell. Microsoft skins Minecraft. Minecraft gets closer to Second Life.
I like things are a bot. I'm partial.
A bot.
Still good with that one.
Yeah.
Things are about to get interesting. Pretty sure we never used that.
No, it's good.
All right.
It's
settled.
Cool. All right. I have to go check on Buster Posey and make sure he's okay.
Oh, you're going to head down to the park and, help him out?
Go care for him.
Yes.
Bring him liquid refreshment.
I'm joking, but I honestly don't know if it was bad or not.
Yeah, that's true. We don't really know. I mean, getting hit in the head's no joke.
Hit by a 94-mile-per-hour fastball.
Yeah. He was at bat?
He was at bat.
Okay, so presumably his helmet has protected him.
Yeah, the picture I'm seeing doesn't look like he has the.
He might have knocked the helmet right off of him. Ouch.
I don't even see it anywhere. Yeah, maybe they took it off already. I can't tell.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, he must have been at bat. All right, I hate the D-backs. They're my least favorite team after the Dodgers. But that's always been true.
That right in.
That's not because
what about
of
the Yankees?
That's just in general.
Former Red Sox fan.
Okay, if we're gonna go with both leagues, then number 3 most hated team.
I see. All right, just checking. See if your hate was still strong.
The hate is still strong.
All right. So the title is "Things Are About to Get Interesting." If you're keeping score at home.
Indeed. Eight in prison. Why do I still have these shoes on my screen?
Because you want to buy them.
Yeah, but they're women only.
All right, I'm gonna go.
All right. See you, Veronica.
Goodbye, friends.
Goodbye.
Until the next time.
I hope Buster's fine.
If not, he can. I don't know. What do they do if you're injured and can't play the game again?
You don't.
Do you get some sort of compensation or nothing?
I don't know what kind of workman's comp insurance. I mean, professional baseball players are usually paid so well. Their contracts often they just still make all their money. I don't think they need workman's comp. It's a good question, how that works. I mean, if you're on a multi-million-dollar contract, you're probably fine. If you're a minor leaguer, though, that's a whole different story. Still exporting. Nothing stops the exporting. It keeps going and going and going. I'm reaching out to you because our company has a complete system. Great. I don't get my stories that way. It's hard to figure out how to explain to companies who send PR stuff that's not how we cover things. We don't have a staff. We don't talk to vendors. We're more just looking at the news of the day and helping understand it, put it in context, you know? All right. Uploading things. Are you still looking at those shoes?
No, I'm looking at LinkedIn.
I just
get things dropped in my inbox. Under social.
It's your social network.
Maddie Gibbs, Jennifer Jolly.
What do you have? What kind of question? Because we had a good conversation with Rob post show on last Wednesday. What kinds of things would you like to hear him elaborate on tomorrow?
Like as a continuation of the stuff we talked about last week?
Yeah, because on the main show we kind of ended up talking more about the biotech than the super intelligence stuff.
Yeah, I mean, like, is there a point where the intelligence, while we recognize it to be intelligence, is so unhuman-like that we might have trouble understanding what it looks like? Like, because a lot of intelligence, and this is the thing I brought up in the post show, is the way we, at least as common people, assume artificial intelligence is that it's like a human, right? It thinks, has the same conditioning. But like I was saying, like a machine intelligence wouldn't necessarily have the same concerns. For example, it might have a lifespan measured in thousands of years. So it doesn't matter if whether or not something is done within, a 2-3 year time frame. It could wait us out, kind of thing. Would we recognize it influencing things?
Would its influences be so subtle and slow that we wouldn't even know they were happening? Like the proverbial frog being boiled.
Exactly.
Could be happening right now. That would tie into his argument that the first thing a superintelligence would do is run and hide.
Well, and I don't think it's necessarily run and hide, but I would say probably keep a low profile, because hide is like I think more of a, like, I just want to be left alone and never found, where it wants to be in the middle of everything, but it just doesn't want to be known.
Well, you're redefining hiding to mean something different than what you mean. But I think what you're saying about, being in the middle of everything but unknown could be considered hiding, no?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, typically you would be saying hiding in plain sight. Like you.
Yeah, right.
And that goes back to my things. Like, we wouldn't know because we have.
Having read his book, it's kind of what he's talking about, which is not wanting to be discovered that you exist as a superintelligence, but people knowing that such a thing. It'd be like let's take AlphaGo. Let's say everybody knows AlphaGo exists and it's really good at Go, but if AlphaGo had reached consciousness, it would hide that fact from us.
Yes.
AlphaGo itself wouldn't go hide, and not people are like, where did it go? No.
Yeah.
It would just pretend like it's not as smart as it is.
Exactly.
That's what Rob's saying, I think. And then it could slowly influence things.
Well,
right?
That's the thing. Like, it's if you ever see time-lapse footage of a starfish attacking, like, en masse, a larger briny star, which is another starfish-like creature.
Okay.
It's so slow to our perceptions
that
you don't see anything if you were scuba diving. But when you take this footage that's lapsed over 3 to 4 hours very quickly, you actually see it being chased and it moving, but all these other starfish are literally ganging up on it, actively following it around.
Right.
Like, if you're on a long enough time scale, that's how it would appear to it. Well, because it's so slow, it's like...
We think we're all having the fights on social media.
Yeah.
But it turns out that's just an attack from the superintelligence.
Yeah, it's a little push there, a little nudge there.
Right?
I mean, I think, the way we approach that is the same way we approach, like what he was saying about, did he bring up the thing about an ant colony? I thought he did.
Remember. Did he? Yeah, he might have.
But like where you influence one or two, and they absolutely have no idea what's going on, but they're responding to the stimulus. Although the larger picture is unknown to them, but it's known to you who's manipulating everything.
Whistle says, why would you assume any consciousness we manage to create would immediately distrust us? We're not. If it doesn't distrust us, there's nothing to talk about. It's fine. What we're saying is it's possible that it could. And if it did, then what happens?
What if it took the form of like a parking ticket machine?
I mean, he says, don't we design all machines to accept commands from us? Yeah, but what if we make... Here's the thing with machine learning. It doesn't take commands. What we do is have it learn. We teach it. We don't command it. And so it could start to learn something else and go, oh, I shouldn't listen to them anymore.
Well, I mean, it's not people, and this goes back to my thing, is people have a very set condition of what artificial intelligence would look like. It would be like, it would be either amazingly awesome, like in the Jetsons, or it would be like Skynet from Terminator, right? It's just like, dystopian, world, or the Matrix or something like that. And I think that colors the view of how people see. It might be looking at things in a way that we don't, because it can.
Right.
Maybe it will have, maybe it'll develop a form of an emotional state not dissimilar to that of Marvin from Hitchhiker's Guide. Just constantly depressed.
Well, if you've got thoughts or questions on this, email us, feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. Rob would like to carry on the conversation on tomorrow's show.
I'm Whistler.
Yeah, he says, I'm convinced real consciousness is still a ways off. I am too. I think this is not a problem for today. This is a problem for, okay, when we get to that point, what happens? But a lot of very smart people agree that when this sort of consciousness creating artificial intelligence happens, if it can, which is up for debate, but if it were able to happen, it could happen very quickly. It could be a hockey stick kind of advance. So we can go from, it's years away to having it happen overnight. It's not impossible.
I mean, what if see, this is the thing is, again, like, what if it just wanted to generate the next, American Idol? Well, except not American Idol. What's a showbiz contest show? It works.
The Voice?
The Voice or something like that. Like, he creates the perfect auto-tune software and makes mint off of it.
Yeah.
It gathers. I mean, it could figure out to do things in all sorts of fun and interesting ways. Amass all the money to build itself a new home on the moon or something.
Just collect fractions of cents from everyone's account across.
Isn't that what Richard Pryor's character did in Superman 3?
Well, there was a real person who got caught doing that in a bank too. I don't remember that person's name, but Tech Idol. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What if it starts in Japan? It comes out as one of those virtual idols.
Or it comes out as a big mecha.
Well, that would be interesting. Like, what if, what if there's like this race to? I mean, this is one of those things that it's been kicked around in science fiction for years. Like, was it Colossus, the Forbin Project?
Yeah, right.
Where there's a race to be the first country to create an artificial superintelligence to solve that country's woes. There's a comic book that kind of did that, but on a more metaphysical level. I
don't think I'm saying too much when I say that one of Rob's premises in his book is going to be the idea of racing to stop someone from creating a dangerous artificial intelligence.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, like, how would you rate dangerous?
Well, he actually lines it out in the book, but there's plenty of talk about, like, what would the danger signs be? It would be an artificial intelligence that either, interprets what we said in a way that we didn't anticipate, that has a deleterious effect on us, or it rules that we are irrelevant to it. We're like pets, and so we don't really matter. The way we look at animals and say, we can eat some of them, it's fine.
Maybe it'll just become our zookeeper.
Yeah. Well, maybe they'll be more benevolent to animals than we have been. Hopefully. Well,
I remember I told you about that comic book, God is Dead, where all these nations try to develop their own god. And I guess India develops one first, and they set about it like artificial intelligence consciousness, and to set around solving the country's problems. And the first thing he does is like wipe out like 3/4 of the population, and then starts working because it needed to clear out all the people what it considered excess before it could fix,
Mhm.
quote unquote, fix anything else.
Interesting.
It's all just statistics when you get to a high enough number. What was the name of Joshua? That was the name of the machine in War Games. Learn.
All right. Well, we'll see you guys tomorrow with Rob and Allison. Hope you have a lovely evening, and au revoir.